Hmm. There we are.
Which is pretty much the last thing we want. Okay. Well, no, that was me talking about Disney. We want to be live. Welcome everybody to our Halloween session of the Tales of the Red Lions. I've got a bit of a cold, so if you have any sort of trigger concerning coughing or people having the sniffles, I would suggest skipping this episode and reading the summary instead. Otherwise, we're going to go straight into it, starting with a recap of last session, where we will start with Fiona. Or Lainey, as she's known here.
Yes. Okay, last session, Ida was woken early, 5 a.m., with visitors. It was Lyle and Victor. She apologised for being a little short with them. She hadn't had much sleep. They went into the office. Ebert arranged for some tea, breakfast, and very strong black bean brew. Lyle messed off into the kitchen to make potatoes. There was breakfast. There was Tasha resisting being gotten out of bed. Lainey and Ida made a bet that it would take a certain amount of time, which Lainey lost. Victor examined the contracts for Ida to inherit the house that she grew up in. And people headed off to go and do various things. Victor, Rain, and Tasha went off to see Tasha's brother Friedrich, and an interesting woman that looked quite a lot like Victor, but was a half demon. Also had the same signet ring as him. While Ida, Everark, and Lainey went off to the Girthy Sausage to go and meet Belly Tumbler's Aunt Ethel. Ethel reacted, quite well to Ida. Loved her on first sight. And it turns out that Belly Tumbler's aunt is, in fact, a McGinnis Lambert, and she's a professor of esoteric transportation at the University of Lightbridge. They got back information that someone is trying to destabilize Lightbridge, and that, along with a lot of other things, this started about 6 months ago. So it's less than a coincidence. She agreed to investigate for them, and Everark, Ida, and Lainey were asked to come back and play bodyguards for her. Meanwhile, Tasha, Rain, and Victor got into the prison to meet Tasha's brother Friedrich. And I think that's enough from me.
Right. Pass the ball then.
I will toss the ball to Tasha.
Very well. Okay. Yeah. The group split up to chase several threads regarding the charges that have been, or the lawsuits that have been put up against Ida's and Lainey's families. We were three groups. Lainey, Ida, and Evrock went to the Girthy Sausage. Lainey already told us all about that. Tasha, Rain, and Victor made it to the prison, which also serves as a temple of tourists. There we basically questioned Tasha's brother Friedrich, and Katniss, who's a half-sister to Victor, and whose mother is actually Nashiram. Much to the surprise to Lyle. Tasha told Lyle later that his new girlfriend is the mother of one of Victor's sisters, or half-sisters. Quite the spicy intel. We found out that, but that was already mentioned as well, that Theodora von Zandt, supposedly successful woman in Holofaust, wants to destabilize the barony in the middle of nowhere, which is probably our barony. And she set up Friedrich and Katniss to, be pirates and wrought some havoc there, which led to Tasha basically scolding her brother for being a dumbass and not coming to her when he wanted to break free from the usual family wizardry business. Also, the Magister, which is a colleague of the High Priest on the council. So the High Priest of Turris is on the council. And it seems like the High Priest is behaving quite weirdly lately. And we have a certain suspicion that he might be under a certain influence, which is why the Magister invited us to be at a formal dinner with the High Priest in 2 days from now. So that might be our window to get our foot in with the High Priest and potentially find out more about the vampires that still seem to try and undermine royalty in this area. And I will toss the ball to Lyle because Lyle had his own little adventure.
Let's see. I know Victor and I went to the top of that citadel. That's where we were scouting around. There was a bunch of lenses and things up there. We couldn't really figure out anything to do with it necessarily. Other than that, we all had our little expenditures and went shopping and everything like that. I basically funded a circus to send back to my little forest in Louisenthal. Pretty much. That's exactly how that went. So we're bound to have a lot of new friends when we get back to Louisenthal, for better or worse at this point. Yeah, Nashiram having a kid was definitely a thing that surprised me. It being a half-sister to Victor also definitely makes that a bit spicy, doesn't it? And I think that's all I can remember. And I'll throw it to Quinn.
So, aside from unlock the 3 mountains to free your Spelljammer from the ocean, we went to the bottom of the church, and aside from the mind-altered half-sister and brother to Tasha, we also found out that the keeper of records for the local tourist sect is missing and has been for 6 months. The leader is usurping all of the power and trying to proclaim himself as a ruler of the area and all kinds of other issues. So we get to liberate a church from tyrants. Bonte?
Actually, I didn't do a lot with it. I just tagged along with everybody last time. Though I did meet some dwarfs from Rakathum, bribed them with some 200-year-old brandy. They're going to be kind of our getting some information for us on what's going on. And they kind of introduce us to Belly Tumblers Aren't. As with that, Lonnie finished, filled in a lot of that yes, they want us to be bodyguards when they go inspect the supposed pirate ship that's in port. Otherwise, yeah, we do have that party coming up, the big ballroom party with the High Priest in a few days. Otherwise, we're still trying to dig up information because it's definitely a setup. And we're trying to get where we can, find out what's going on, and see if we can make the wrongs right, and find out who's really behind all this. Otherwise, I think that's all. I'll pass it down to Rain.
Yeah, I think Katniss was her name, and Friedrich were charmed by that vampire, and we tried to free them from it with Dispel Magic, which kind of worked because we got some information, but we couldn't completely break the control. And we want to try it the next day again with more prepared Dispel Magic spells. Although we will have to be careful with that, as it seems to physically hurt them, because Katniss, I think it was, needed a healing spell afterwards. Yeah, nothing much to add otherwise. Although Rain is quite fond of the idea of creating a distraction at the party by releasing some monkeys. Arowina.
Yeah, most has been said. I was woken up way too early by my seneschal because I have one of those now, apparently. And Victor looked at the contracts and say they are waterproof as all that, so it's mine. And it's gonna stay mine. We went to meet Auntie Ethel, and she liked me, tried to pull out my wings. That was not that fun, but she seemed to like me. And we are gonna pose as her bodyguards later today. When we got back, Ida had got delivered a new hat that makes her look differently. It's awesome. And yeah, the rest has been covered, I think. So back to GM.
Right. Last time you had all started getting into your disguises as bodyguards and mercenaries to, well, the degree that you've bothered disguising yourselves. Being in Lightbridge, you still don't really stand out that much. It being one of the largest metropolises in the world. And you were waiting for Auntie Ethel. If I'm not entirely mistaken, which I'm not. So, there is a heavy knocking on the door.
I'm just waiting for someone else to open. That's not my job.
Yes, Ebert opens it and turns around with his lurch-like looks and... Mom, it seems Miss Griffin, no, Miss McGinnis Lambert has arrived.
Great. Does she want us to just leave straight away, or does she want to come in on a cup of tea?
I do believe time is of the essence, ma'am. With all
Let's
on
go,
account of
people.
the hangings and such.
Let's go, people.
Right. As you exit the mansion, Professor McGinnis Lambert is standing there dressed in work boots and workmanlike, but still very finely made and very expensive clothing. He gives you a look over and, oh, quite excellent. You seem to have the correct sort of ruffianish appearance that I was hoping you'd go for. Are we ready to have a little chat with Sir Falconwing and about that alleged pirate ship he's holding?
Ready, willing, and able.
Excellent. Ebert, if you'd care to lead the way. She nods to the manservant, and he starts a brisk walk down towards the dock section. Seems like most of the dock workers and other assorted ruffians know him well enough to get the hell out of the way as he comes striding along. Of course, having the roughly 12-foot tall lady following him is definitely not hurting your odds of just walking through the crowd unmolested.
Well, I wonder what awaits us.
There's a slight rain and slight fog actually in the bay as you walk down. The docks are huge. Just the depth of the docks. You could fit all of Louisenthal into the part of the docks district that you're walking into, and this is just part of the part of the district that's used by the Lightbridge Navy. You can see more and more sailors and soldiers attached to the Lightbridge Navy as you move along. Men, women, and other assorted genders of all sorts of races and creeds. Humans, of course, are dominant, but there's a very high percentage of ratkin, or ratlings as well, ratfolk, moving about, and also quite a lot of catfolk. Those three races seem to make up roughly 70% of the Navy, which still leaves hundreds of others. Everything from minotaurs and hill giants to halflings and what you think is a half elf, half dwarf. Although you've never seen one before, it can't really be anything else. She leads you down to a ship that's well, some of you are experienced sailors, and some of you are experienced brigands and thieves. All of you are experienced soldiers. So you recognize a ship that's trying to look run down, but really isn't. As you move up towards the three-masted ship, I would like a soldiering check for anybody who has Profession Soldier.
I got lore warfare.
That'll do. That's what it's called in second edition. Yes. So a lore warfare check from anybody who has that.
Okay, me too.
I don't know anything about it.
Nope. Victor's busy staring at an interesting seagull
Hate it.
and doesn't really notice anything.
My mercantile background is from shipping with ships.
Yeah. Evrock though notices that the gun ports in this ship, they've obviously been hastily installed, and nobody in their right mind, Evrock having some experience with gunpowder from Rock Artum, who also use it in their navy. Nobody in their right mind would place the guns in the way that they've been placed in this ship.
This is odd. Those gun ports and guns are not placed right. That would be placed on a proper ship.
Not
Ah.
placed right? What do you
Not
mean?
placed right. It's almost as if they were slapped there together just to make it look like it was a ship, a menacing ship. But no right Navy person would do it that way.
That fits with the look of the rest of the ship. It looks distressed and rough, but they're trying too hard. Almost as if someone took a brand new ship and messed it up on purpose, trying to hide it.
Can anyone detect any magical roar off this ship? I'm asking the party.
This ship is a trader.
It's not even a warship. This
I'll
doesn't
cast
make any
Detect
sense.
Magic.
I haven't prepared it.
You see Victor going through the prayer of that allows him to see magical energies, and for a moment he stops and shields his eyes from the powerful emanation. Even it's whatever was there is obviously no longer on the ship, but even the lingering aura is stronger than anything you've ever sensed. Something was
Something was
transported
on
in
this
that
boat.
hold.
Was that Victor?
Something was on this boat. It's not there any longer, but whatever it was I've never seen anything quite like it.
Do we see anybody like moving around on the boat or anything like that?
You see two Navy guardsmen standing by the loading or the walkway up onto the ship. I'm sure they have a formal name.
Gangway.
Gangway. Thank you very much. Yes, to the ship, and there is a there's an individual moving. You can hear somebody moving on the deck as well, but you can't see them yet. Moving towards the gangway, the two soldiers pop into attention as they see Lady McGinnis, Professor McGinnis Lambert, move up. She turns and, or not so much turns as just looks down on you all, towering over you as she is. And quite excellent deductions, gentlemen. But this is quite obviously not a fighting ship. I do believe from the lines on it that this is the Golden Path. One of the trading ships, I do believe, reported sunk, belonging to Miss Anjou's trading house. If you'll give me a moment, I need to go pick up my snooze. Oh. Yep.
I gotta need to refill my wine. Be right back.
So this is your ship?
Looking like a bored mercenary, I just nod almost invisibly. Mine?
I have no idea about ships or sailing or like holofausts. I don't know. I never was interested in ships.
This one is way too new though, so I don't recognize her, but she must have been purchased after I was thrown out of the family.
So this is probably one of the reported vessels that were sunk by the pirates.
Which of course doesn't bode well for the idea that my family was in league with them.
But you also lost 3 other vessels, correct? You lost a total of 4.
We did, and well, as we can see, this is not a pirate ship.
Could even catch up to a merchant ship. Just a trade ship.
Sorry about that.
Trader.
Right.
I bet you the
Professor
cannons don't even fire neither.
Professor Lambert holds her arm up and, well then, should we go meet the good Sir Knight?
Sure.
Right. The gangway is obviously not made for holding somebody of her stature, but in a nimble jump, she just jumps up onto the ship, causing it to roll ever so slightly.
She's done that before.
And you can hear her going, "Ah, Theron, my good Sir Knight, please Meet my associates. Leaving you all scrambling to get up in a presentable fashion. As you walk up the gangway, you see a very tall man, probably 6'5" in height, which is about 1.25 fridges for us Europeans. He's dressed in a red and white uniform, not a uniform of the Lightbridge Navy, but the uniform of a knight, with a brown sealskin cloak, and around his chest there's a very fine rapier in the Bourgogne style of rapiers, easily recognizable for Victor, as that's the neighboring country to Frigistadt. Although the most striking thing about him would be the deep jade eyes, the granite-looking skin, and the long copper hair, in addition to the holy symbol he carries around his neck, a bronze disc with a silver female face on one side and a jade woman's face on the other. As you all walk up, he bows and gives you all a dashing smile. His teeth look like ivory more than regular bone. Ah, Professor McGinnis, and these are your unofficial associates, I assume. That would be no less, I believe, than 2 duchesses, a baron, a war chaplain, and of course, everybody who reads the Penny Dreadfuls knows about Lyle, the master chef, and Rain, the master bartender, and his sidekick. Although you look familiar, but I can't say I've had the pleasure of hearing of you, he says, and bows down and kisses Lainey's hand.
Charmed, Sir Knight. I'm sure you wouldn't have met me before.
Oh no, I mostly deal with the criminal elements in Lightbridge and beyond. I'm sure we would have had nothing to do with each other.
Of course not, and let's just keep pretending that.
It's a pleasure to meet you. I am Sir Theron Benedict Falconwing II.
Charmed, I'm entirely sure.
Captain of the Courageous, and at the moment quite confused, as this seems to be a very poorly made ship for being a pirate ship.
Exactly what we were thinking.
There's far more suspicious elements than a poorly decorated boat in this particular case of a hasty execution.
Quite so, good sir.
And if I'm not mistaken, this ship is actually mine.
Now, what would make you say that, ma'am?
If it is indeed the golden...
Path.
This was sunk not too long ago.
Well, then, that would absolutely complicate matters, as the Golden Path was supposedly sunk by this very pirate ship.
Indeed.
Either someone has done a very poor job of putting the blame on the ship, or a pretty good one, assuming that we think it was a bad job.
Well, they couldn't even be bothered to purge the mind magic placed on their prisoners, so quite clearly they aren't interested in the truth. Although who they are is what interests me most at this point.
Mind magic, you say, sir?
Yes, both of the prisoners held in the jail that are being charged with orchestrating this pirate plot are both under the effects of mind-altering magic. And not a small amount of it.
Wouldn't the clerics of Turris handle that quite easily?
There are some issues within the church that need to be remedied. I will be calling for some lawbringers.
Bringing in the heavy guns, I hear. Well, sometimes that is what is needed. Please feel free to conduct your investigation, Professor and associates. I shall stroll along and do my best to assist in any way possible. Could I interest anybody in a glass of wine? He nods over to 4 squires carrying, one of them carrying a silver tray with glasses of wine, and the others carrying a variety of small hors d'oeuvres and wine bottles.
Not while on duty, Sir Knight.
I'm gonna start poking around on the boat, see if I can find anything.
Right. Give me a perception check, sir.
Can Tasha make out anything that's sort of fishy about this captain? Since I think it was Rain's cousin who was so, smitten by
A
him.
navigator. Yeah, and she was a navigator on his ship. Rain is also very interested in the wine.
Right. The wine being served is from Bourgogne, imported to Lightbridge, and would probably go for about 10 gold per bottle.
I'm taking a glass.
Which, for those not used to Pathfinder 2nd Edition, is ludicrously expensive and could buy you a suit of chainmail.
If you want to try expensive wine, I would advise you to take this chance. This one bottle here costs about 10 gold.
You had me at Bourgogne.
Well, I'm really not interested in wine. I'm interested in this captain, though.
Oh, do avail yourselves of the wine. It's no large expense for me. My godparents in Bourgogne send over a crate every now and then.
Who are your godparents?
Oh, you wouldn't have heard of them. They're a local lord and lady who run a small mansion just, quite far from the city, really, and
A small
on
mansion.
the border to Friedrichstadt. Small farm, you could say.
Well, I'm interested in it. What's the name? I would want to maybe establish contact for getting some of this wine from my tavern.
I could definitely assist in that, young lady. You must be Ivy's cousin. Quite charming, you are. I see beauty runs in the family.
Well, she's also quite charmed with you.
Really? She never let on. He seems honestly confused when you say that.
Sir Knight,
Yes, my good lord.
are the ship logs still on board?
We found a ship log. Obviously a fabrication. Nobody with any knowledge of nautical operations would believe in that ship log, yeah? After reading more than half a page. We have not
Okay.
been able to find the
actual
real
logs.
ship's log yet. No, but that would be very interesting evidence in this case.
Could we see the fake logs, Sir Knight? There might be some clues inside the fabrications.
course, good lady. Nothing has left the ship since we took it, except the prisoners, of course. Can't really have them gallivanting about a pirate ship, can we? Even though it is under guard.
Nothing, you say? There was something in this hold that was significantly enchanted.
Well, good sir, I wouldn't know about enchanted. That really isn't my specialty, but I can tell you that there was an object of great evil in the hold. Anybody with the ability to sense evil would be able to detect that.
Where's this item at?
Sadly, sir, it was not here. It was not on the ship once we boarded and captured it. I would be very interested in finding out where it is, and I already have 2 frigates and a ship of the line patrolling the waters in the most likely areas that this ship could have met somebody else. I will say, though, I've had a fairly long career here in Lightbridge. Service in the city of Lightbridge runs it's a family tradition, if you will. My father was a patrolman in the sewers before he went adventuring and met my mother. And never in my career here in Lightbridge have I felt anything with such a potent, malicious, evil force.
Now, have you brought this up to the magistrate?
Sadly, the magistrate has been very, very difficult to reach. I have sent several letters and inquiries to the city jail and the Temple of Turris, but I have been rebuffed with excuses about dealing with internal matters and not having the time to meet, which is quite
Not having the time to
unconventional, I would say.
Not having the time to prove that somebody's probably not guilty and they'll be executed wrongly.
Indeed, sir. I do find it quite peculiar.
Is the magistrate on the Lightbridge City Council or subject to one of the council members?
Well, yes, the magistrate would be subject to the High Priest of Turris, who is on the city council, and obliged to follow his orders. I have tried to reach him, but he has been unreachable now for almost half a year, actually, since before the piracy started. Seems there is something quite important brewing.
I think you might want to speak. I think you might want to speak to our war priest of Turris on that one, Captain. He seems he found out quite a bit's going on behind the scenes at the Temple of Turris.
This is odd. How seemed like everything started roughly 6 months ago.
That's when we went to Whitehaven, isn't it?
Oh, roughly 6 months ago would be when you were in Montchevrier. Whitehaven would be a year ago.
Fair enough. But some of the dark forces left Montchevrier before we could stop them.
Victor's gonna go down into the hold.
It looks like whatever escaped from Montchevrier is joined forces with and is current in the current troubles.
I mean, I'm not really surprised. We had those vampires against us for a long time, or for some time now, ever since also we went to the cathedral in the middle of the lake. There's things going on. There's no denying that.
But again, remember in Montchevrier, all those people we rescued, how many of them had already been sent out with demons in them.
And we did
And
send
remember-
out warnings.
We did send out warnings, but who said that it went to the right people?
And in Lightbridge, it might have easily been ignored if it wasn't in the interest of the correct people.
Correct. From what I recall, they sent people, those vessels, everywhere to all the different countries.
As Victor walks down into the hold, this is obviously a merchant ship. Broad, slow compared to a warship with made for long range. Even so, on the third deck out of 5 of the cargo decks, there is a palpable feeling of evil. Even those of you who aren't divinely connected can feel an uncomfortable feeling of wrongness down there. For Victor, Ida, and Evrock, it is very unpleasant indeed, just to walk into the hold. Oh,
Just out
Victor's
of the feeling, I'm drawing my sword just because of what I'm feeling.
as Victor can see that there's been something large here in 3 pieces from the wear on the deck planks, and how dust and everything is littered. It's been washed around as well. A larger piece in the middle, and two still quite large, say 2 meters by 2 meters pieces to the sides of it, opposite each other. As Evrock pulls out his sword, the flame starts burning on its own. You can feel the oppressive heat of it, or the oppressive coldness and wrongness retreating before the holy fires of the blade.
Has this happened before with this blade?
Only once, when Lyle was mind controlled.
Okay. And that was a devil from hell.
Victor pokes around
Priest.
the hold. His training from law enforcement starts to come back to him. The sort that all clerics of Turris have in their basic training, while their drill abbots stand screaming at them. He'd say that it's about 3 weeks since whatever was placed in here was transferred away. He's also quite certain that there's some sort of fluids involved in the running of whatever this thing was. Although the splatters and spots are too old for him to be able to identify them. And he looking around, he finds a couple of smugglers' dens that the Lightbridge authorities have not been able to find. And they've found a lot of them already, but it is a merchant ship. Most of them just contain the usual things: gunpowder, weapons that they want to sell without port authorities knowing, various types of narcotics, a stash of very suggestive pictures of ladies with not many clothes on them. But in one of them, there is a very finely crafted bottle with gold and platinum detailing, filled with some sort of dark, brownish liquid. Red-brown type of liquid. With a stopper on top of it. And it's got a house sigil of 2 crossed short swords on a blue and green background. With 3 red stripes crossing over it.
Do I recognize it with a 20 heraldry?
You do. You do indeed, good sir. That is the personal crest of Theodoric de la Vega.
Ooh, what now?
Theodoric de la Vega, a well-known vampire lord who has been
Haven't we killed him?
been a pirate or a scourge of the seas around Bourgogne, Hollowfaust, Lightbridge for the last 3 centuries or so.
He wasn't the one we killed out at the Citadel, was it?
No, that one had
no.
a different name, I think. De la Vega, huh?
Curious.
Indeed.
I have a guess to what's inside.
He's known as much a lover as a fighter, the typical pirate vampire. And it's rumored to have spawned several Dhampir throughout the last 3 centuries, sneaking into ports and seducing young ladies in bars.
Interesting.
How curious.
I wonder how old this bottle is. Should I take a look? Maybe I.
Feel free. Well, Rain, being a connoisseur of all types of alcohol and anything you can find in the bar, can place the bottle to the type of liquor bottle that was very popular in Hollowfaust around 180 years ago. The bottle itself would probably be worth, just from the materials, 50 or 60 gold, but to a collector, maybe 10 times as much.
This is a little treasure here, and it's around, I would say, 180 years old, maybe. And want to hear a surprise? Connected to Holocaust.
I mean, it is a De la Vega. That's like no surprise there. He does hail from Holofaust. Well, at least our De la Vega does.
An odd item to be on a merchant ship being smuggled, though. Although, if it's as valuable as you say, they might be trying to pawn it as to a collector of some sort.
Oh, it
Yep.
does have a lot of worth to a collector. I mean, it is worth a lot in itself, alone the materials and stuff. It's like 50 gold or something, and for a collector, maybe 10 times more. Not that I would know such a thing. I'm not a collector. No, of course not.
Is the liquid inside as old as the bottle, though?
Rain takes a look. The bottle must quite obviously be enchanted, as it is 3/4 filled with blood, which is not coagulated.
Ugh.
When I opened up this hidden compartment, how long had it been shut for?
Victor would estimate roughly 3 weeks.
So it got put in here at the same time that the other item was moved. Curious.
Someone remind me.
Continuing his search, Victor finds another hidden compartment on the 5th deck, the lowest deck, where you also find a somewhat nervous Lyle staring at a lot of open barrels of gunpowder that seem to have been stored down here.
This is not safe. I'm not sure why they would put so much gunpowder in the bottom of this boat, but I don't think I want to be on this boat anymore.
Maybe they just wanted to create a citadel. Who knows?
Maybe they just wanted to dispose of the boat.
Seems more likely.
I would
They
say
didn't
so.
get a chance to do it.
Would think not. There'd be nothing left of the boat if they'd set this lot off.
Yeah, looking through, Victor finds a fake wall that leads into a chamber that would be right under the captain's cabin. You can see 2 magical circles etched with an unknown substance, but that fills you with discomfort.
Have we
Into
seen these
the
circles
floor.
before? Have we seen these circles before?
Evrock hasn't, but Tasha, now deep into magical studies, recognizes these circles as the sort of circles you would use if you were creating a golem or something of that sort. Although they seem connected, which you've never seen before.
Oh, this is weird. Can Tasha take a closer look?
Absolutely.
You want me to roll anything?
Yes, that would be a Arcana.
Goodness fucking gracious.
Right. Well, they're not large enough to make the sort of golem
Plus 18.
that you usually see. You'd have to make something like human-sized or smaller in these circles. The reason they're connected the way they are, normally in this sort of circle, you would make the golem and then you'd summon an elemental and either compel it to inhabit the golem for you or force it in. But it seems that one of the circles is there simply to leave a path into the golem open.
So I have no idea what their plan was. This looks like they wanted to summon a golem and then my first guess would have been to summon an elemental putting it into the golem, but this looks like they had different plans.
Could it be used as a spirit container?
I don't know, DM.
Potentially. Although you would have to bring the spirit from an external source.
If you would bring the spirit from an external source, it might work, yes.
Like perhaps an archdemon that's been chopped into 3 pieces?
Something like that, Victor, yes.
So wait, are you saying they wanted to ferry the 3 parts of an archdemon over the seas?
Oh, that's likely already been done. Mysterious substances leaking all over the wall, evil so palpable that even those not tied to, goodness can feel it. There's not many things that exist that cause such visceral reactions to their existence. And if you're trying to say, smuggle them or perhaps even just imprison them. You're trying to subjugate them, lock them away in a false body, and separate their actual vessel so that they can't rematerialize themselves.
Well, that doesn't bode well. The components that are around here, I think most of them are used to use a clone spell.
How could what does a clone spell does, and how could we recognize a clone?
DM?
Well, you'd have to know what was cloned.
Well, does she know?
There's no evidence of who was the subject of the spell.
How certain are you that is your brother we met in the jail?
Again, DM?
I don't know. How certain do you feel?
I mean, I don't have a brother that's called Friedrich in my own backstory, but that doesn't have to mean anything.
He's been introduced. He's canon now.
Exactly.
Bonte. Mr. Bonte.
Ida. Didn't Belly Tumbler claimed he killed our second in command several times and she kept on coming back?
We have killed her several times and she kept coming back.
Could that be the subject of the clone? Now that she has gone up to a demon, I believe she is now?
Well, if she's a demon, she can just pop right back as long as we don't banish her.
Well, something I would like to bring up is I have my suspicions about this Katniss character. She presented a ring as though she was a blooded Arvandus, but I'll let you in on a secret. We're a matriarchy. We only track lineage through our mothers. She's no Arvandus.
Should it really hurt as much as it did her when we tried to dispel a charm on her? I've never seen that before. Although it could be that it wasn't such a strong charm that I have seen before, so I'm not very confident in my magic knowledge. Captain?
Back in Moshari, I freed a half elf of a imp, and that imp did suffer pain when I used my sword.
We actually might have a deeper conundrum than I suspect. These here belong to my sister. We might have more than one clone of someone we know running around.
Because it hasn't been difficult enough yet.
Clone someone, inhabit them with whatever spirit you happen to need, whether it's yourself as an astral projection or a sympathetic spirit.
Would they know the memories of the one they have cloned?
No. But they don't need to. All they need to do is pretend to be someone. It would be like the most advanced disguise that you could come up with.
Asking a few questions only the person can know would make it very easy to differentiate between the clone and the real one, right?
Likely. Although you have to be careful with your questions, because if they have the person there to make a clone of them, a little bit of torture, you can get a lot of information out of someone. You're unscrupulous enough to make a clone of them. dig at their mind with magic, there's quite a bit of information you could learn.
Are there any kind of like tracks in this room, Shadow? Like anything like in the dust or anything like that?
Give us a tracking check. It's difficult with a lot of people having moved around on a ship, but Lyle is quite certain that whatever was made in this circle has the feet of a fairly small human female. Although maybe not human. It seems the toenails are a bit too pointed to be human. And there's also the slightest markings of what he suspects could have been a tail.
Well, looking around at these tracks and such, I think that it definitely steers us in the direction of Katniss.
Whatever it was that was made here was unconscious, at least, and brought out of this room and up to the room you were in on the third deck.
She might not even know she's a clone at this point. It looks like she was unconscious, or whoever was made here, and then dragged upstairs is what it looks like to me.
Peachy. Nothing's ever easy, is it?
What an odd choice to clone a tiefling, though.
Why?
They are far less common, for one thing.
There is no mistaking Sister Alice for anyone else on this plane that we live on. And last I knew, Sister Alice is in a dragon's tower, learning magic.
So you think they didn't do their research really well?
Or they only have enough information about the household to attempt to discredit us. Suspected infernal dealings. Sister Alice is, let's just say that we don't publicly parade her around as a scion of the house.
I mean, maybe they don't need more than just the bare minimum of efforts to discredit your house, considering that they seem to have a pretty good grasp on the high priest and the magistrate already. If people don't want to look closer, small effort to discredit someone is already enough.
Sir Theron looks puzzled. And so what you're telling me is that somebody has been cloning people here and inserting minds into them. Is that
Likely
where
demons.
you're going with it? Demons.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one
yes,
thing. I fought more than one demon in my time, and the nice young tiefling lady, she was definitely not demonically possessed. I fought more than one tiefling as well. My adopted uncle is a tiefling, I'll have you know. I have nothing against tiefling. I'll not have that sort of speciesism in my presence. But having fought more than one tiefling, she manifested or availed herself of none of the powers that you would expect from a tiefling. She did actually complain that the mug of tea she was handed during a storm was too hot and burned her hands, which I've
Here's a
never heard of
question,
a
good.
tiefling ever complaining about, as they are resistant to fire.
Here's a good question for you, Good Night. How often have you fought the undead?
Quite a bit, actually, sir. You'd be surprised how many pirate ships there are crewed with undead. Although these ones... It's weird, though. After your Knight Commander Evrock pulled his sword, I feel less certain that the crew on this ship actually were undead.
Because we don't think they were.
Well, I was convinced they were up until you pulled your flaming sword there, Knight Commander, and I dare say those in our profession, if you will, the swords of the gods and whatnot, tend to be somewhat resistant to that sort of shenanigans, but I do believe I may have been enchanted.
I was about to say, Captain, it sounds like you also were availed of the same magic affecting our prisoners.
That, though...
The charmer has been charmed.
We fight spellcasters quite a lot, and Ivy is usually very skilled at countering that sort of thing. It's not something I believe anybody could have done at a distance. Whoever it was must have been on this ship as that happened.
And likely strolled off without a care in the world.
He looks over at the half-storm giant standing looking at the hull of the ship, and well, Professor, I do believe you were quite right to bring in your associates here. I have been wanting to meet Captain Tasha, the Beauty of the Lake, and her beauty is definitely not overstated in the Penny Dreadfuls. Quite the opposite, I would say.
I'm not your second in command. Your flattery will get you nowhere.
I have no idea what you mean, young lady.
I have, though. Appreciate
However,
your compliments, though.
If I have been compromised... by Zorsha, I need to find Ivy. And he storms out of the room.
Should we tell him where we saw her last?
I'm kind of worried about her as well. I mean, yes, she is pretty good. But he shouldn't have been compromised by such a spell as well, right? So I would like to go with him to look for her, if it's okay.
You do that. Take care of your cousin.
Go for it.
Do you need help? Should we come with you?
Well, I don't have any dispel magic for now anymore, but she thinks about it for a moment.
But we should definitely bring the sword to them.
Yes, that could help, and I think I should be able to hold her for a while if there is something with her. But yeah, at least someone maybe. I better hurry up and.
Would you go with her, Captain? I think she might need your strength.
Yeah, I think my sword may be needed just to break this charm. I will go, Lorraine.
Right. Sprinting up after the captain. As you come to the deck, you can hear him shouting commands to the squires. Like, round up everybody from the Courageous. Present them to Knight Commander Strongaxe as soon as that is done. I need to find a navigator. And they're like, we last saw her fluttering, pointing out to one of the lighthouses on one of the extreme parts of the pier. Quite a bit away. He looks back at the two of you following. I don't know what's going on here, Knight Commander, but I won't let my second-in-command be enthralled by whatever is going on. I'll bring her back to you. I swear that on...
Would it be better if I go with you?
Don't even think that I will let my cousin alone in such a situation.
Very well.
Safety in numbers, Captain. You were interfered with, and that absolutely should not have happened.
Normally I would agree with you all, but I do not have the time to take the long route, so I'm sorry, but unless you can follow, I simply can't let Ivy be in danger any longer than I need to. And then he
Tasha
jumps off the rail of the ship and starts flying.
Tasha pulls out 2 brooms from her head and hands one to Evrock. Well, Captain, it seems it's time for you to cackle. Let's go.
I'll go with.
Dwarfs don't fly.
Yes,
Come
you do.
on, you can do this.
Here, Ida, take the other one. And you know how to do it.
No,
Teach him.
dwarfs don't fly.
Rain can already fly. She doesn't need a broom.
Yeah, and Rain doesn't even wait for the others. She's following.
It's quite fun, Captain. It's not that unsafe.
Dwarfs don't fly.
Yeah.
We need you, Captain.
Of course they do. What about all the legends about the dwarven sky cities?
While you're discussing this, Sir Theron and Rain are flying. Rain is working hard with her little wings.
I'm
She's
catching
gonna
up
need
with them.
he's gonna need something that gives her more speed. Whatever allows him to fly fast.
When I fly past Rain, I offer her my arm so she can hang on.
Can someone teleport me to the lighthouse?
What's your flight speed, Ida?
70.
Right. So you are left slightly behind, but you're only a couple of 100 feet behind him as he lands by the lighthouse and storms in a door.
Captain, your people need you.
I don't fly.
Well, then summon your war goat. I'll just teach the war goat how to fly. You can be on the war goat, it's fine.
Does anyone have a teleport spell?
We do not, Captain.
That exceeds my
Sword,
powers.
can you get me to the lighthouse?
Who did you ask now?
The sword.
As the sword. The sword gives you a strong feeling of being a magical weapon and not a taxi service.
Be that way. I'm a war goat and I'm hanging out with a goat.
Right. Meanwhile, Ida and Rain storm into the lighthouse. You can see 4 soldiers fast asleep. Rain recognizes the typical druidic magic used for that sort of thing. And Sir Theron is holding Ivy in a not a brutal grapple, but he's got her arms pinned, and it's gently shaking her like, Ivy, what did you do? Why would you? She's raised the barriers. She looks at Rain.
Sorry, could you repeat that, please?
She's raised the barrier. The harbor is open right now.
She's done what?
Get back to the ship and get your people off it.
Okay. I sprint and then I fly as fast as my wings can bear me, and I don't care if it's gonna hurt.
Right. Flying, you can see that you are racing something very large, moving under the surface.
The moment I am within range, I'm gonna blink to stand on the deck and go, we need to move now!
You're
Run!
Okay, where to though?
Off the fucking ship!
Okay. Tasha gets on the broom. And, gets up in the air.
Right.
She throws the other broom to Victor. Since Evrock doesn't want to. Lyle, come on, my broom. Let's go.
I'll stay on the ground with my dog, I think, and I'll just jump off the boat with the dog.
Cowards.
Right.
How fast
about
is my
Victor?
goat moving to that lighthouse?
That goat is going hellbent for leather. You're about halfway when you see Lyle and Victor and Tonka jumping off the ship, and a couple of brooms rising up from it as 8 huge tentacles rise out of the water and pull the ship under.
Hopefully the bullet tumbles aren't got off there.
Yeah, she seems fine.
I don't think we're gonna get anything off that boat anymore.
Nope.
You can
Ivy.
hear the sounds of the ship creaking and being crushed underwater. And also a lot of shouted orders and alarms as 2 of the light British frigates nearby start bombarding the area it was in with cannonballs.
What the hell was that?
Sea demon?
Kraken?
Yeah, but I mean, where did it come from? Does it live here?
According to Ivy, the barriers have been lowered. That's when the captain looked at me and told me to get them off the ship.
Wow.
So I did, and now my wings hurt.
Phenomenal. Do you want the broom?
No, I just need to stretch them, I think. They're made for speed, but not that kind of speed.
So that's definitely a Kraken. And I'm pretty sure it was already dead. So
An undead Kraken?
yeah, I saw an anchor stuck in its eye. I pretty much think that was an undead Kraken.
Oh god, don't tell me undead
Okay.
krakens exist. That's just disgusting. Who would do such a thing?
Vampires?
Can we kill it? Can we leave
Does
it from its
undead
cage?
Kraken exist?
I just heard of one that's actually a lich.
So if it's the one I've heard of, it's a lich, not just an undead. We should move.
Wow. Just wow. An undead lich kraken, really? Does the day get any better at some point, maybe? How about?
I mean, it's still there eating a boat, so the day's not done.
At least we all got off.
Ah, great. Can we kill... Do you think we can kill the kraken? I mean...
As Rain is looking at Ivy starts just looking dazed. Like, what? Sir Theron? Oh, Rain! Hi! This is
Have
Sir
I gotten
Theron,
there
my
yet?
boss. And I don't know why he's hugging me. Do you know why he's hugging me?
Yeah, Ivy, you've done something, and it wasn't good. What happened to you, Ivy?
I
You
don't-
feel okay?
I feel like... Oh, look at that goat. That is a beautiful goat.
Ivy, concentrate. You have to concentrate now.
The
Right.
goat comes screeching in sideways, drifting in with Evrock on its back.
Good
Ivy-
side drift.
What is the last thing you remember before you saw your captain?
I'm going to draw my sword.
Yeah, Evrock draws his sword, and the room fills with heat and fire. You can see Ivy slowly regaining her senses. Like, what in the name of Allah? There was a man, tall, dressed in fine clothing, hollow-fast accent. He enchanted us. And she looks at Sir Theron. He's like, "Yup, Rain, we need to get the barrier up. You need to help me.
Of course, of course.
Okay, come to this. She flies over to an orb. We need to channel air and water into this. Just follow my lead.
Is there anything I can do to help?
Stand guard. He might be
That's
coming.
no problem there.
Sir Theron nods to Evrock. He's flew at a pretty high speed. His uniform is now quite frazzled. And Evrock can see that he's wearing what looks like gold chainmail underneath.
Well, you probably see my full armor now, since
Yeah, your disguise is kind of left in bits and pieces over the pier due to the speed of the goat being. He pulls out his rapier and takes up a guard position next to Evrock.
Let's go see if we can help over the lighthouse people.
do they see the light from the lighthouse?
Now there's a pretty strong magical aura emanating from the lighthouse, and they can see sort of a magical curtain of hardened water and air going out through over the harbor as Rain and Ivy channel their druidic energy into the spell. It takes a couple of minutes, but the barrier comes up again. As the rest of you are watching, you see a strong blue light down in the water under the harbor. That Tasha is pretty certain is a teleportation spell used by something very large.
Impressive. To be perfectly honest, if a Kraken can be a lich, it's probably intelligent enough to speak, and even though it doesn't seem to be necessarily good, I really would have liked a conversation with that one. I mean, how do you become a lich as a Kraken?
And further, it was working with someone else to sabotage this specific boat.
Yep. So
which means whoever we're opposing has enough leverage to force a lich to do its bidding.
I mean,
And they're trying to cover their tracks.
At least now we see that Evrock's sword is capable of lifting the mind control. We should definitely get him to the prison.
Yep. Can we enchant him first so he takes the broom?
So, Sir Knight, what can you remember from all this right now?
It's coming back to me in bits and pieces, Knights Commander, but I do believe we've been deceived. I will endeavor to have the crew of this ship and whoever else was on it released. They are obviously not the knaves in this tale.
First, I should probably get to the prison and break whatever charm is on them, too. So much for incognito.
You're telling me, Captain. I'm standing here with sunlight hair.
It looks good, though.
It looks very well for you.
Well,
We gotta
Knights
take
Commander,
care of your crew.
I'll take Ivy and visit the First Admiral. We'll need to. I'll need to introduce you to the Countess as quickly as you find convenient. Although, I would suggest you collect the two innocent souls in the prison before any of the conspirators here try to silence them.
The Countess.
Maybe
Very
we
well.
should also take a look at the tavern again where we arrived here. I mean, Ivy has been there while under control. We have no idea what she may have done there. And it is
Yeah.
an important point for us for traveling and such.
Ivy looks horrified and like, yes, Rain, you're right. I did do something with the ways. I opened it for somebody who wanted to go to Louisenthal. Cute lady,
Ooh.
black and red armor. I remember the vampire stabbed her just before she left.
Oh, the sister.
Yes, Victor, I think that was your sister. Does it mean she could also be under control? Is everyone under control now?
No, but we got this under control. It's fine.
And she has been in the presence of the sword.
The drawn sword?
But Victor's sister arrived differently. She did not. She arrived in the middle of the the tavern. She did not come through the portal.
Unless she came into the pantry and then used a shorter mode of teleportation to hide how she entered.
But would she?
Or even blink.
She claimed to have been coming from Friedrichstadt, after all.
Yes, but the teleportation network we're talking about here is Lightbridge, not Friedrichstadt.
Exactly. If she came through the pantry, then we would be suspicious. But if she came through the pantry and then used a much more common short-range teleportation, like a blink or a dimension door, to hide her entry.
But how does the mind control feel? Could Tasha's apprentice find out if she was under this control? We have contact with them over Slate.
We should definitely send them a message of warning.
If they know what to look for, I mean.
Ivy, tell us more. What does it feel like? Can you remember anything else?
I remember they didn't have they can't travel by the ways unless a Knight of the Unobscured Stars opens it for them. They didn't have the keys. And they don't know where all of them go. But they were very interested in Louisenthal. They said something about a glyph. And opening the way for the unborn, if that means anything to you.
That means a lot.
Oh yeah, and I think the vampire, he works for somebody else, a priest, who called himself a priest of the real gods, the unborn gods. Guys, I think they might actually worship the things in the void.
Well, does make things easier. But
Rain gives Ivy a big hug. I'm glad you're okay now.
So tonight we must get to your crew and free them of their charm too. Then we'll proceed to the jail.
Yeah. He gives or Ivy gives Rain a big hug as well, and yes, the captain saved me. And she looks at him adoringly. He seems completely oblivious.
Oh boy.
I'm sure he has a lot on his mind right now, too, though.
Rain whispers to Ivy, "Remember your girlfriend?"
Oh, she's polyamorous.
Yeah, I was about to say polyamory exists.
Well, Sir Theron looks at Evrock and Knight Commander, I owe you and your companions a great debt for freeing me from this deception veil we've been thrown under.
Not quite free of it yet.
I'll gather my crew. If you should have any need of us, please do not hesitate to ask. Let's
Thank
see.
you.
If you could, at the 8th bell this evening, meet us at the halfway house. I'll introduce you to the Countess.
Could she be under this influence of this charm, too?
At this point, I can't assume that she is not. Although, if they can get to the First Admiral, they can get to anybody in Lightbridge.
Well, let's hope they didn't.
We'll find
It's
out.
safe to assume that they did, though.
Yes, it is, since they already
A
got
much
the
safer
Hephaestus.
assumption than assuming that they didn't.
Indeed, good sir. At the moment, we must assume that everybody is potentially under the influence of whatever hostile force this is.
Maybe the captain should perform a sword dance at the banquet.
A traditional Wiesenthal sword dance. I like it.
They have their own version for Lightbridge, you know?
Yeah,
Well,
but that's a
Dwarves
bit...
usually don't use swords.
No, it's axes.
For now, though, I must leave you. I need to attend to my soldiers.
I'll go with you so we can at least free them of this charm.
Don't worry about me, good sir. Now that I know about the mind affecting, I have a gift from my godmother that should be able to counteract that sort of thing. I don't usually wear it, so I don't bother her too much, but I'll make an exception in this case, he says, and puts on a gold bracelet.
Very well. If you are in need of me, do not hesitate to send for me.
Well, should I be accosted by demons, I'm certain you'll hear the sound of it quite quickly. At the
We'll probably
8th
be there in a
bell,
hurry too.
good night, Commander, at the halfway house. For now,
We'll see you at 8 bells.
The professor turns to you like, well, that was certainly quite the inspiring day, wasn't it? Exciting, some would
Yeah.
say.
This is a Tuesday in our experience.
Ah, yes. Well, it's a shame, really. The ship had been inundated with magical energies to the point where I'm fairly certain I could have gotten it flying at some point, given enough time. But I do believe I do not want to face the terror of the depths anytime
That
soon,
sounds-
even for a ship like that.
That sounds like a good idea. And also, if you are interested in exotic ships, you should see the one we have in our lake.
Well, I was quite dubious as to your statement of a flying ship, but having seen what amounts to a usual Tuesday for you, I believe I will take you up on the offer to visit Louisenthal and have a look. It's been a bit of time since I had some excitement. Besides, my nephew writes that there's a rather handsome carpenter up there of the sizable variety that I might like to get to know better.
Yeah, he built our house.
Yes, and he has something that helps him build the house very well too.
Oh, indeed. Well, I'll make my way to the halfway house and arrange for transportation. If you wish, I can be present for the meeting at the 8th bell, but after that, I believe I shall be making my way to Louisenthal.
I think your present would be ideal, since you're also a professor of this.
It would be much appreciated.
Very well. I shall make certain I am presentable and present. And with that, we've been going for 2 hours, so let's take a 10-minute break before we continue on.
Aye, sir. We're back.
And we are back, everybody. Short break. Right, so you're left on the docks. Sir Theron has left to gather his crew and get Friedrich and Katniss released to you.
We should get back to make sure they have somewhere to go then.
What was that, Ida?
We should get back so they have somewhere to go.
Yes. We still got to get to the jail and free them of their charm. Maybe find out what exactly this tiefling is.
Absolutely. And while you are doing that, I think Lainey and I should go talk to my old companions.
It's
Too
about
bad
that
there isn't
time.
a way I could channel this sword like a beacon through the whole city to break any charms. We don't know how many people under this charm.
We have no idea.
Honestly, I don't know if it's powerful enough to do that or my will's strong enough to handle it.
This city is huge, Captain. I'm not sure you could do that without hugely upsetting the balance of the city as well.
As if these charms are going to accept the balance as it is.
They are, but there are probably other charms and things that shouldn't be disturbed.
I'll take your info on that and not even attempt it.
But imagine the law that could be reestablished. All
That
the
is true, too.
compulsion gone.
That's true too.
In that case, you should head to the Temple of Alar and see if they can help you.
I just may do that. I did not know there was a Temple of Allah here.
Of course there is. There's a temple for every legal god here, and probably the illegal ones also, but I don't know where.
Probably under the temples of the legal ones.
Possibly.
Good guess, Captain.
Half the city is under the soil as well. We have so much of it undiscovered. The sewage around here is ridiculously large. If you remember, he told us his father used to patrol them.
Yes, I did hear that. And I'm like, okay.
Well, the sewers are like a city in itself. Add to that part of the city is underwater. It's
And
very
parts of the
extensive.
city are exceptionally off limits.
Yes, quite like Holofaust in that regard.
So I will proceed to the Temple of Allah then and talk to the High Priest.
I'll go with you to the temple districts. I should definitely check in on the Temple of Kwan Anku as well.
Are you going direct to the guild after that?
Yeah, you should come with too.
Fair enough. I can look in on the Temple of Zosia.
Then we have to arrange to go into the jail and break the charm on the prisoners there.
I suggest that Tasha and Victor and whoever wants to join them will go to the jail and escort them back to the mansion, and we'll meet up back there. There you can break the spell.
Very well.
Agreed?
I guess I'll take along to the prison then.
Then we'll meet back at the manor. Ebert should be back there as well.
Yeah. And we still got to meet the is it Fleet Admiral?
Yeah, the
At the
Countess.
8 Bell.
At 8 Bells, correct.
I'm curious about that one.
So am
Countess.
I.
On second thoughts, I think we should all go to the temple. Ida, I've just had a sign. We're best staying together.
Okay. Well, are you guys coming with us to the temple then?
Looks like it.
We should all follow our dreams. Yay.
With the kind of dreams we have, definitely.
I don't know, but last I recall that is that all our dreams are, basically pushing us in a direction that we have to follow. It's not like we got a choice.
We have a choice, but I don't think it's a wise one to ignore them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still have to travel to the giants. I know. Not something I'm fond of. I mean, like, kind of everyone is a giant for me already. Why do I have to meet even bigger ones?
We could get you a ring that makes you bigger.
I think
Like
Rain is
mine.
perfectly fine the way she is.
She's gorgeous the way she is, and if she had been any bigger, I wouldn't have been able to tag you along.
I also like myself as I am.
Good. So it's settled then, yes. Let's go to the temple.
I advise that Rain and Tasha, you travel in the middle of the group and everyone else on the outside. Lyle, if you'd be good enough to go first, we might need your eyes.
I can do
sounds
that.
nice.
Okay, that was weird. Completely crashed my system.
Oh dear.
Oops.
Oh my.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I got to get Fantasy Ground back up.
Don't worry, nothing happened yet.
I will hop on Tonka and lead the way then.
I'll make up the rear together with Evrock.
Great, we're going to visit the temple in battle formation.
Best way?
I'll be
Which
riding my
temple
goat.
are you headed to? The Temple of
The
Turris?
temple district. No, the temple district to visit Aller and Kwananku. It shouldn't be
Okay.
too far from the Temple of Turris anyway.
So you're not planning on being there when Friedrich and Katniss are released?
Oh well, yeah, then we'll go there first. If that goes so quickly.
Struck me as
gonna-
something that you would probably want to do.
I'm gonna slide over towards Evrock and tap him on the shoulder. Just so you know, Captain, we're being followed. There's somebody on the roof. And I think I saw another one back in that crowd of people over there too. I think they think they're hiding, but
Thank you, Lyle. Keep me informed.
Yes, there's several of them watching us.
Anyone? Rain whispers so only her group can hear. Anyone wants to go invisible and check on them? I could help with that.
Well, Lainey and I knows the way around the roofs.
I'm not sure that you can turn invisible
They know we're here.
right here without being conspicuous. So if you find a way to be inconspicuous about it, go for it.
Nah, we're drawing way too much attention as is. We should just keep an eye on them and make sure they can't jump us.
As you come up towards the temple, Lyle notices that the people shadowing you are keeping a greater distance. Walking up to the temple, you see Magister Spiegelman and Sir Theron waiting for you on the steps. Magister nods at Victor. War Chaplain,
Magister.
prisoners are ready for transfer to your custody.
What time of day is
Excellent.
this?
Excuse me, Bonty?
What time of day?
Time of day now would be around 2 o'clock daytime. You see Friedrich and Katniss walked out of the temple by the same guards in the black plates with closed helmets and maces. They unlocked the chains on their wrists and legs and shoved them brutally forward, so they fall to their knees in the dust in front of Victor before turning on their heel and walking back inside.
When they walk inside, I'm going to look at the Magister. Just so you're aware, the Order of the Nail shall be visiting us.
She
I forbid you from telling the High Priest.
she goes into shouty mode and like, I cannot believe you had these people released. And as she leans forward and gets close to Victor's head, she whispers, I hope they arrive soon, because I think something bad is about to go down.
Lainey's turned outwards with her hand on the hilt of her rapier and flickering all over the place looking for trouble.
She
You mind
takes
drawing your sword, Captain?
I'll draw my sword.
Ready or not, here we come.
the sword flares up. You can see Friedrich is in quite a lot of confusion. Like, what in the world is going on here? But Katniss falls to her knees. No, God, oh, Turris, it hurts. Victor, what are you doing?
I could ask the same of you, sister.
Oh, she looks up at Victor and blinks in pain before lunging towards him, slamming into his chest. Between her head and Victor's, you see something go. Zzz. And what looks like a dart from a hand crossbow is quivering in one of the wooden posts for stabling or for tying up your horse next to Victor.
And it goes for Victor's head.
Well, that would have been in the side of his helmet at the very least.
If she hadn't slammed into him.
Correct.
So she just saved Victor.
I would like to scan the crowd.
I am watching for whatever did that, and if I see where it came from, I'm gonna blink there.
Tasha's gonna raise shield.
Right. Victor and Lyle and anybody else looking are aware that there's a lot of movement right now on the rooftops and in the crowds. In addition to that, the Magister Spiegelman comes up to Victor and whispers, War Chaplain, you need to leave now. The High Priest is massing forces to arrest you. I don't know what you're doing, but you can't do it here.
We might not get much choice, Magister. Really, you should be able to taste the feeling in the air.
Oh, I taste the feeling, all right. This is going to turn bloody no matter what. Trust me. If you want those two unarmored prisoners of yours to live long enough to tell you anything, you need to get them inside walls somewhere.
Walls, you say?
Let's get back to the mansion now.
I mean,
Good idea.
I can arrange a wall right here if you need one.
Let's not.
Such a shame. Come on, Friedrich. Tasha's gonna whip out a broom.
Friedrich is lifting Katniss up on his shoulder and like, Katniss, what's going on? She seems to be in too much pain to be able to answer.
Get her on Tonka. We're leaving now.
I'm not going on that devil dog. I'm going with my sister.
Wait, what? Oh, yes, sure. Hop on.
He gets on the broom with Tasha.
Wait, yeah, just to be sure. And she cast Stone Skin on Friedrich.
Ah. Probably not a bad idea, no.
Tasha tosses the other broom to Victor. Are we going or what?
I'll take the broom and pick up Katniss and with a travel along.
Yep, cackling along.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
follow you in the air.
Yeah.
Let's go, goat.
As you take flight,
What's with Lani though? Can we get Lani on a broom? How many people can a broom carry?
I
You
can
already
probably
have
jump
two
on
on each.
Tonka.
Yep.
As you take flight and start heading towards the mansion, the three of you on brooms see one shadowy figure partially hidden behind a you know, those things that smoke come out of, chimney. Lean out and hold something towards you before a large arm dressed in immaculate black clothing with a white glove reaches out, crushes the person's head, and pulls them back into the shadows behind the chimney.
Did you see that?
No, what?
Let's go.
Too concentrated on escaping here.
This
Oh.
way. It's the fastest, I promise.
Meow.
The rest of you are subject to some sporadic fire, and one person that jumps out in front of Tonka with two daggers gets bitten in two. But otherwise, the trip back to the mansion is pretty uneventful. As Victor, Ida, and Tasha, who are quite a bit faster, go in for landing, they can see that there are 20 very, very heavily armored persons standing in front of the mansion.
How far behind am I?
Not far, you're also flying, and the others are only a minute behind on account of Tonka and Evrock's war goat. They're able to traverse the crowd quite quickly, as most people aren't really that interested in being stepped on by a 4-ton dog.
Are these 20 armored people, you know, obviously enemies?
They are facing outwards, backs to the mansion. 19 of them are carrying flails, and one of them is carrying a scourge.
Is there any markings on them? Do I know where they're from?
Well, looking closer at them, they are in very, very heavy plate armor. One of them has, think like a Spartan type helmet, the one with the scourge. 4 of them have helmets more of the Centurion style, and the remaining 15 have like closed bucket helmets like you're used to seeing on European European heavy infantry. You recognize them as being from the Order of the Lawbringers, a fanatical order that claim to follow the 4 different gods of law, Aller, Turres, Yautl, and Themis. Although none of the gods have recognized them since their founding, they are a well-known international organization.
Can I help you, gentlemen?
I summon for them, Vice Captain. It is good to see you, Lictor.
War Chaplain, our services are needed, and we have answered.
And nary a moment too soon. Things are already getting exciting.
Indeed,
The
War
compliant magister at the temple has informed us that the high priest would like to have me arrested.
Chaplain. Indeed. Well, we shall have to disagree, sir. You seem to have prisoners to interrogate. Worry not, the Lawbringers shall secure the compound.
Good for you that Victor knows you. I was about to set magic loose.
You would have found, ma'am, that we are far from defenseless against rogue sorcerers, breaking the rules of the law in Lightbridge, or any other place, for that matter.
Well, I'm not breaking any law, but other people seem to be.
Indeed. We shall endeavor to take the security of this mansion as our highest priority until given new orders.
Fair enough.
Be
Seems
careful.
like there was some mob gathering, getting ready to storm the mansion, but they've gotten onto better thoughts.
What kind of mob? What were they talking about?
Well, Duchess mob would be a descriptive word, but these were quite obviously hired instigators.
I see. I haven't been back to Lightbridge for more than one day, and I'm already getting mobbed.
Well, ma'am, the Lawbringers would happily take on a contract to secure the mansion in your absence, should you wish to do so.
Maybe you could hire the mob to clean your floors, though. I've heard a mop is really good for that.
That's a mop, not a mob, darling.
You sure about that?
But yeah, I should definitely get some people to take care of this place.
The
A
last
mob with
remaining
mops?
brave members of the mob disperse quite quickly as Evrock, Lyle, and Tonka and Laney come charging in the gate.
Well, make yourself at home and consider yours, and I'll make sure that Victor comes with a good enough contract for you. I need better security here anyway.
The lictor turns his head to one of the ones in the Centurion helmets and points up towards a chimney. Centurion, do you see that assassin? Yes, lictor. I don't want to. And then there's the sound of a lightning bolt.
Efficient.
I like you. Lightning bolts are hella cool.
Aren't they, though?
Yes, they are.
Thank God it was the right assassin.
Let's get inside, shall we?
Yeah, have some cup of tea, maybe a few scones.
We gotta also free the prisoners from their charm too.
Yeah, so you enter, you see Ebert changing the white gloves on his uniform and readying a tray of hors d'oeuvres and wine for you. Exciting day, ma'am.
So far, so good, I guess.
According to Captain Theron, this is one of our normal Tuesdays, and The sad thing is, he's not wrong.
I was the one that said it was a normal Tuesday.
Well, it has been boring since Captain Thaddeus disappeared. I'll be seems my
What
life
you're
will get
saying is that I
slightly more
inherited this
interesting.
from him.
Well, yes. I would say that the familial resemblance is quite spectacular indeed.
He was a good-looking man.
I've
Ebert, I've
prepared
been
one of
meaning
the sitting rooms for you.
Brilliant. And Ebert, I've been meaning to ask you,
Yes, ma'am.
what was my name?
I can't say.
Tasha?
What was her name?
I'm sorry, Professor. I can't say.
Are you sure about that?
Only Captain Thaddeus can authorize that. Or, if his death should be confirmed, the mistress.
The mistress.
And he nods to Ida. However, his death has not been confirmed, and as such, I am still bound and cannot answer that.
Thank you, Ebert.
My pleasure, ma'am. Now, would you like red or green grapes with the cheese?
Both.
Blue ones.
And
Ah,
blue.
And blue. Very well, ma'am. He disappears towards the kitchen.
There's blue grapes. I wasn't aware. I was actually just joking. But I mean, I would eat blue grapes if they exist.
They exist.
Don't ask
They're
him
called
for something you
Concords.
don't want.
Look, if people here are giving us a hard time about all of this, mysterious shenanigans, then I'm gonna give them a hard time by, making them acquire the most impossible things.
Friedrich sitting over Katniss, who is whimpering in pain. What are you guys? What did you do to them? Tasha, this is my girlfriend. Why are you torturing her?
She's not your girlfriend, as far as she says, and the only thing we're trying to do is to break some charm spells, find out what people got cloned, who's actually infiltrating us, who's against us, who we can actually kill without breaking the law. The usual
Oh yeah,
juicy
so
things.
as long as it's magic, it's okay to cause pain to people. Yeah, just like mom and dad.
I'm not doing
Hey.
anything to her.
Cousin, we're trying to get you out of trouble, not get you into it.
Victor's gonna take the family ring from Katniss and give it a good inspection.
It is definitely a family ring, but you're fairly certain this one belonged to Louise.
So Katniss, dear sister, where's Louise?
Louise? Sister Louise? She groans and looks up at you through bleary eyes. Like, Sister Louise. There's something. There's something stopping me from remembering.
Captain?
I hate seeing someone tortured, but we got to break this charm. I'll draw the sword.
She screams in pain as the sword is drawn.
Rain.
Is she banished? Is there a demon in her or something that can be banished by your sword?
I will need a religion roll for that.
And Rain wants to take a look at Katniss to see if she can find anything that makes it, oh, damn it, possible for her to to find a difference between a clone and a normal person.
Rain is over in the corner like, blue grapes? These are amazing. Like,
Yeah, I got a 21.
Yeah, neither Evrock nor Victor can see any signs of demonic possession, though, as you know them. But looking at her, you can see that her skin seems to be scoured slowly by the sword, as if by sandpaper. She looks up at Victor and like,
I haven't seen the sword do this before.
no, never. She looks up at Victor and everybody else like, I remember growing up with you and Sister Alice and everybody else. But when the sword is drawn, I know it's not true.
I would say Sister Alice never lived in House Revandis.
No, but she visited on occasions that are actually correct. But I'm in the ship. They've got Louise. They've got Sister Louise. She's a prisoner of the vampire and the priest. There was a she groans. She coughs up some blood, and like there was a machine, 2 chambers connected to something hellish, and I woke up there and I saw Louise in the other chamber. The vampire lord, he took her and he left through a portal somewhere. She coughs a bit. I don't know how much longer I can be with that sword before I stop existing, Victor. I don't want to go.
Where would you go?
I don't know. I don't even know what I am, but I remember growing up with you. I remember the family.
Stop existing, like disappearing.
I suspect that everything she remembers was ripped from Louise when they did whatever it was.
But is it right of us to let her disappear just because she wasn't created like she should have been?
Is she herself evil? If not, I would like to heal her. I don't want her to want to see her suffer.
Is she evil?
Are you using detect evil?
Yes.
There's a very strong aura of evil left after her creation, but you find yourself in doubt whether she herself is inherently evil.
She was created from evil, but she's not evil herself. That at least I don't think so. Please stop this.
I'll sheathe the sword.
I mean, are we sure that this isn't just like some intricate trap?
Everything's an intricate trap, but someone is caught in it. And I'm not gonna kill someone that potentially innocent and just created from it, rather than just to be sure it's not a trap.
Although you bring up an interesting question. Is a golem a person?
I don't know, but she seems like a person to me.
Well, yes,
And
because
me.
they ripped my sister and printed it onto the golem. It's like a photo given life.
It
I
still
don't know
doesn't
what to
seem
do.
right to see it hurting, Victor.
Don't we have enough things trying to stab us in the back? Do we really want to like add another to the list?
So
Better
as
with an
Rain
enemy.
moves up and places her hands on her, you can see the skin growing back, and she stops coughing blood.
Interestingly, this is the dagger itself. Her existence was the weapon that they sought to use.
And a dagger in itself is not evil.
Also, with us knowing what's going on, how can they use the dagger against us?
Because we're playing a game of politics and intrigue, dear Duchess.
Well, daggers in games of politics and intrigues can always also be used against the original party.
What I suggest is that we keep her. We make sure that she is on our side. We make sure she's comfortable. And then they will think they have someone on the inside, but we will keep control.
The problem is, every time I draw the sword, it's going to affect her.
I'm thinking we're just gonna keep her here. I can make sure she's comfortable here. And
Katniss, would you help us? Would you do that for us? Would you be a spy for us?
She's clinging to Friedrich and sobbing into his shirt, but as Rain asks, she looks at Rain with and you can see some of the steel you saw in the prison the day before come back into her eyes. I would do anything to protect my family. If anybody has captured my sister, I will gladly go to the hells and back to save her.
You're talking at nothing, Bunty.
Oh, I was just saying it to myself. Been there, done it. Don't want to do it again.
Well, we know where Sister Louise was, although now we know that we need to pull the sword near her. Although who knows what trouble she's causing in Louisenthal.
Yeah.
send a message. We have the slates. Your apprentices.
Yes, I will send messages. Tasha's
Ebert hands a glass of wine to Katniss and pats her on the shoulder. She takes a good sip. Seems to find some of her fortitude back before she looks at Victor. The machine. The vampire lord took it onto his ship. They went to Holofaust.
Baldegunde and Belly Tumblers in Holocaust.
Yeah. But we
We
still
have work to do in Lightbridge as well.
You know, we need to clean up here. We can't.
Luckily, we have a dinner party.
Yeah.
We do indeed.
the day
And
after
you
tomorrow.
can send messages through to Holopaust, can't you? With that slate of yours.
I can.
Are we going to be invited to that dinner party now?
We are invited. Let's go.
That dinner party is tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
That machine, it's. I think it's. It doesn't just read your mind, it copies and changes it, twists it. I think I was meant to be Louise, but evil. But something went wrong, as if she had some sort of protection.
God-enforced contracts will do that.
Well, that's at
She
least some
looks
solace.
at everybody around you like, shh, can't talk about that.
You cannot talk about gods?
And contracts. What would a household of tourists be without contracts to their god?
Yes, contracts to tourists, yes. Very important. Indeed. No. Friedrich looks up at you and, thanks, Tasha. I couldn't bear seeing my girlfriend being tortured like that. She looks up at him like, girlfriend?
Oh boy.
Tasha, are you sure that there are no further magical connections from her to the vampire that could be used to spy on us or hurt Louise?
No, I cannot be sure, but I also didn't have the time to really investigate that topic yet, did I?
Well, you have roughly 5 hours before your next meeting.
Yeah, Tasha's gonna invest the time into looking into anything that might be still used against us that is still clinging to Katniss.
I probably would request you move her so I can free the other prisoners from their charm. I don't want to hurt her as much.
The other prisoners we're gonna meet elsewhere, but definitely she should be given a room. Ebert,
Yes, ma'am.
can you make sure that new guests have rooms?
Ah, yes. What kind of security would you prefer, ma'am?
Highest.
What she said.
Very well. I'll personally see to it.
Ebert,
Thank you.
can I suggest the purple room? The one with the hidden door?
Ah, yes, indeed. That sounds like a grand idea.
Thank you, Ebert. Could I get a cup of tea, please, rather
He
than
seems
wine?
to be struggling to reach something and turns his back to Lainey, like, Lainey, my dear, would you be a dear? There are two black tarantula daggers sticking out of his back.
Ebert! Laney eases them backwards. Medical help?
Oh no, I'm quite fine, but I couldn't reach them, you see. So
She pulls them out and very carefully watches for any sign of discharge.
I love how we all roll single digits today. You know, you got a plus 20 or plus 18 and you think, yeah, it's gonna be okay, but no.
Dice are against us today.
Could we get some of the people outside to just sweep the mansion and make sure there's no one here?
Oh, believe me, ma'am, the interior of the mansion is quite secure. They seem to be taking care of the perimeter very well as well. Indeed.
Great.
We hear lightning strikes every now and then.
They've subsided after the first three. I must warn you that Lightbridge seems to have been thrown into quite a bit of turmoil. Seems like we're due for the autumn riots.
Already? Isn't that a bit early?
Well, yes. But I do believe the electrical discharges and the, and on the lawn may have expedited things.
What are the autumn riots?
Sometimes around October they just tend to get dissatisfied with the fact that some people are much richer than other people, and some people have way more to say than others, and that the law doesn't seem to apply to most people. You know,
Have you tried just giving them cake?
that sounds like a
Yeah.
good idea, actually.
I think the city council tried that several years ago. It made that year's riot worse.
Hmm.
I know I was very busy that year.
Yes, indeed. Lowering coal prices seems to be the key to.
I had a blast that year. I've never been as rich before now.
Well, I shall set up the purple room. If you'd come with me, Sessinen. Leans down, picks up Katniss, and puts her over his shoulder.
Yeah, Tasha follows since she still wants to inspect things and stuff.
Very well. And unless anybody has a scene they want to play out, that is where we will end today's session.
Tasha also takes all the blue grapes.
Just brings the bowl.
Yep.
Since I don't know where we will start next time, maybe with the meeting that was set at the 8th hour. Since Rain has some time now, she would finally take a closer look at the statue to solve what kind of druidic magic is involved there.
Yes, I'll be doing a lot of those things with you and Tasha and anybody else investigating offline, so that you
I
have
want
that
to talk
ready.
to Lainey before we finish up.
Right. Chat to Lainey, please.
I just indicate the other room so that we're not on top of everybody else.
Lenny nods and follows.
We definitely need to get a hold of the guilds before this goes any further.
Well, the Shining Side will be very interested in anything that reduces the power of the Red Scorpions, so we've got a lot of information to pass on. And I really want to wrap things up and get the hell out of this city for good.
Yeah, I promised myself I'd never go back here, but we're here now. Anyway, the Thieves Guild should know about any currents in the underbelly of the city, and they should definitely know about why the riots are starting so early.
Yes. Well, with us being targeted, we're best not going alone, so we'll go to the Thieves Guild together, and the doorman at the Shining Side knows you anyway.
I think we should take the tunnels out of the mansion and not be seen.
That's a very good idea. There is a direct entrance to the Undercroft of the Shining Side from here.
But should we involve the others? They know I've been a thief, but not how far it's gone.
I don't have as much to hide either. Not for long, anyway. It's up to you. I'll back you wherever you say, dear one.
I'll need to think about it, but we should definitely get over there after the meeting tonight.
Agreed. Thieves and assassins love midnight.
Let's try to avoid making too much trouble and try to get some sleep before the meeting tonight.
Well, some of those assassins in the crowd, they belong to the Red Scorpions. Like I said, the Silver Scythe will be interested to reduce them any way they can. They're disruptive.
They're not getting in here, at least.
No. Besides, they're so common. They have no sense of style at all.
I remember you saying that.
It's still true.
I wouldn't know. I've been out of it for way too long. And that's where we're gonna cut it.
Yes. And thank you all for joining.
Yeah, say your last words, folks.
Yeah, we'll be back next Sunday with more pathfinding adventures, unless something should pop up. There are things happening behind the curtain these days that may disrupt at least my streaming schedule, but that will be as it is. And until I know anything else, we will just keep on going as we are. So thank you all for joining. This session will be up on the YouTubes within the next 24 hours or so. We already have 5 episodes up there. If you go search for Pathfinding Adventures on YouTube, you will find the channel with our channel logo. We will also be getting Starfinder and Only War up there as we keep going. Hopefully, we will run Starfinder and Only War as planned this week, but again, no promises can be made. But for now, please pop over to Twitch TV/HianKaisi to follow our esteemed player Rain. Excellent streamer. You should definitely drop a tier 3 subscription for her. Same with Twitch TV/Maringana, Twitch TV/Tolmar. Excellent people. And you definitely want to follow them.
Don't forget Twitch TV/Shogothlicious for your daily dose of XCOM 2.
Yes.
We will be raiding Grumbles the Dwarf because he's doing his Phasmophobia Jaredy Redemption stream together with Tiger, TC Freer, and Dub. And if you want to jump scare a poor old dwarf, I think tonight's the night. So we're gonna go there and have some very fun.
Let us go make him afraid.
Thank
Thank you all, and we will see you all next time. Stay safe, stay healthy, and be well.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, folks.